Imagine falling, not into a pit, but into a world where light itself has been forgotten for millions of years. Now, as you listen to my voice, there is a place on our planet where the weight of the entire ocean is trying to crush everything in its path. A place so silent, you can hear your own heartbeat echoing against the dark. We know Earth, but we only know the surface. We are descending 11,000 meters down, past the monsters that glow in the dark, past mountains made of glass, and into the deepest scars of our world. We are going to the abyss, the final frontier where time stands still, and the secrets of our origins are buried in the silt. One last breath of the world you know. We're going down, and we aren't coming back for a long. Fact 1, the midnight zone's eternal night. Imagine a place where the sun's last rays die out forever. Once you cross 1,000 meters below the surface, you enter the bathypelagic zone, or the midnight zone. In this realm, there is no morning, no noon, and no evening. Only a perpetual velvet blackness that has remained unchanged for millions of years. The water here is nearly freezing, and the pressure is so immense it would crush a human ribcage in a fraction of a second. Yet in this heavy silence, life flickers. Strange, bioluminescent creatures drift like lonely stars in a liquid galaxy, creating their own light in a world that has never known the sun. Fact 2. The mid-ocean ridge, Earth's invisible scar. The longest mountain range on our planet isn't the Himalayas or the Andes. It is hidden entirely beneath the waves. The mid-ocean ridge is a 65,000-kilometer-long chain of volcanic mountains that circles the globe like the seams on a baseball. This is where the Earth's crust is literally being pulled apart. Through massive cracks in the seafloor, molten magma rises to meet the freezing seawater, hardening instantly to create new land. It is a silent, violent laboratory of creation, where the very foundation of our world is being reborn every single day, miles beneath the keels of unsuspecting ships. Fact 3. The 400-year heartbeat of the North. In the deep, freezing currents of the North Atlantic, time moves differently. Here lives the Greenland shark, a creature that defines the word patience. These sharks grow only 1 centimeter per year and do not even reach adulthood until they are 150 years old. Some individuals swimming in the deep today were born before the Great Fire of London or the voyages of Columbus. Their hearts beat only a few times a minute, and their movements are so slow they appear like drifting stone. They are living fossils, carrying the secrets of centuries in their cold, rhythmic pulses, indifferent to the frantic pace of the world above. Fact 4. Brine pools, the ghost lakes. Deep on the ocean floor, there are lakes that have their own shorelines, their own waves, and their own toxic surfaces. Known as brine pools, these are bodies of water so saturated with salt that they become much denser than the surrounding ocean. They sit in craters on the seafloor, looking like eerie underwater mirrors. If a fish accidentally swims into one, it dies almost instantly from toxic shock, preserved in the salty depths like a mummy. These lakes within the sea are silent, beautiful, and deadly, representing a bizarre physics where water refuses to mix with water. Fact 5. Marine snow, the falling memory. In the abyss, where no plants can grow, life depends on a ghostly phenomenon called marine snow. It is a continuous shower of organic material, fragments of dead plankton, shells, and nutrients, that drifts down from the sunlit surface. To a creature in the dark, this is the only source of food. A single flake of this snow can take weeks to reach the bottom, swaying in the currents like dust motes in a dark room. It creates a thick, soft carpet of biological history on the seafloor, turning the deep into a quiet sanctuary where the death of the surface provides the life for the depths. Fact 6. the chimneys of eternal fire. Deep on the ocean floor, there are towers of stone that breathe black smoke. These are hydrothermal vents, or black smokers. They sit on the edge of tectonic plates, where the Earth's inner heat escapes into the freezing abyss. The water erupting from these chimneys is hot enough to melt lead, reaching temperatures of over 400 degrees Celsius. Yet it does not boil because of the crushing pressure of the miles of water above. Around these vents, life doesn't need the sun. Instead, it feeds on the raw chemicals of the Earth's core. It is a world of fire and ice, showing us that life can flourish in the most violent conditions imaginable. Fact 7. The bloop A sound from the void. In 1997, underwater microphones thousands of miles apart picked up a sound so powerful and low frequency that it defied explanation. It was named the bloop. For years, people whispered of a creature larger than any blue whale lurking in the unmapped trenches of the South Pacific. While scientists now believe the sound was the massive cracking of a giant iceberg, the memory of the bloop remains. It serves as a haunting reminder that we have only explored 5% of our oceans. Somewhere in that remaining 95%, there are forces and giants whose voices we may never truly understand. Fact 8. The Great Vertical Migration. Every single night, the largest movement of life on Earth takes place in total silence. As the sun sets, billions of tiny fish, jellyfish, and plankton rise from the dark depths to the surface to feed under the cover of night. This is the diel vertical migration. To these creatures, the journey is equivalent to a human running a marathon every single day. Before the first light of dawn, they sink back down into the safety of the shadows, hiding from the predators of the light. It is a rhythmic, planetary heartbeat, a massive wave of life that keeps the ocean's energy in perfect, silent balance. Fact 9. The pressure of the trench. If you were to stand at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, the deepest point on Earth, the weight of the water above you would be like having an entire fleet of jumbo jets stacked on your shoulders. The pressure is over 1,000 times higher than at the surface. At this depth, even a sturdy block of wood would be compressed into a tiny fraction of its size. Yet in this crushing weight, there is no chaos. The animals here are made of water and soft tissue, their bodies matching the pressure of the abyss. They move with a delicate, ethereal grace, proving that the heaviest burdens can be carried if you are in harmony with your environment. Fact 10. The whale fall life from death. When a great whale reaches the end of its life, its massive body begins a slow, silent descent to the seafloor. This is known as a whale fall. In the barren, dark desert of the deep, this body becomes a grand banquet that lasts for decades. First come the scavengers, then the bone-eating worms, and finally, colonies of microbes that live off the remains for over a century. A single whale brings more nutrients to the deep in one day than would normally fall in 1,000 years. It is a beautiful, somber cycle, a titan of the light becoming a sanctuary for the ghosts of the dark. Fact 11. The law of deep-sea gigantism. In the shallow waters, creatures are small and fast, but in the abyss, a strange biological rule takes over. Deep-sea gigantism. In the freezing cold and high pressure, invertebrates like sea spiders and crustaceans grow to terrifying sizes. Imagine a sea spider with a leg span of over 2 feet, or a woodlouse the size of a football. Because the metabolism of these creatures is so slow in the cold, they live for a very long time, and their cells continue to expand. They become the silent giants of the dark, moving with a heavy, prehistoric grace through a world where being large is the only way to survive the crushing cold. Fact 12. The bioluminescent galaxy. If you could turn off the darkness of the deep ocean, you would see a world on fire with cold light. Over 90% of all deep-sea organisms produce their own bioluminescence. They don't use it just to see, they use it to speak. Some flash rhythmically to find mates, while others shoot clouds of glowing ink to blind predators. There are fish with headlights under their eyes and jellies that pulse like neon signs. In the absolute blackness of the abyss, these creatures have turned their own bodies into a liquid galaxy, proving that even in the most desolate places, light finds a way to exist from within. Fact 13. The underwater waterfalls, deep beneath the surface, where you would expect the water to be still. There are waterfalls that dwarf anything on land. The most famous is in the Denmark Strait, where cold, dense water from the Nordic seas meets the warmer water of the Erminger Sea. Because the cold water is heavier, it plunges downward, dropping over 11,000 feet to the ocean floor. This massive underwater cataract carries 2,000 times the volume of Niagara Falls at its peak. It is a silent, invisible surge of power that regulates the Earth's climate, a colossal river falling through the ocean in a never-ending vertical journey. Fact 14. Methane clathrates the burning ice. On the dark slopes of the continental shelves, there lies a substance that defies the laws of nature, burning ice. Known as methane clathrates, these are molecules of methane gas trapped inside cages of frozen water. Under the extreme pressure and cold of the deep, the gas remains stable as a solid. However, if you were to bring a piece of this ice to the surface and touch a flame to it, it would ignite and burn while still looking like a block of frozen water. Beneath these fields of burning ice, secret ecosystems of worms and bacteria thrive, feeding on the seeping gases in a world where fire and ice are one. Fact 15. The sound of the Earth's pulse. Scientists who have lowered specialized microphones into the Challenger Deep, the deepest point on Earth, expected to hear absolute silence. Instead, they heard a heavy, rhythmic hum. This is the acoustic signature of our planet. It is the combination of distant surface storms, the low-frequency groans of tectonic plates shifting, and the songs of whales thousands of miles away, all channeled through the water's density. This sound is so low and steady that it mimics the frequency of a human brain in deep sleep. It is the heartbeat of the abyss, a soothing, ancient vibration that has hummed through the water since the oceans were first formed. Fact 16. The glass sponges living shrines of silica. On the silent floor of the abyss, there are creatures made of pure glass. Known as glass sponges, these ancient organisms extract silica from the seawater to weave intricate, lace-like skeletons that are transparent and incredibly fragile. Some of these glass structures have been alive for over 10,000 years, standing as silent witnesses to the entire history of human civilization. They do not move. They simply exist, filtering the dark water through their crystalline bodies. In the deep, they look like spectral cathedrals, proving that beauty can be built out of the very minerals of the earth, in total darkness and absolute peace. Fact 17. Cold seeps the fountains of stillness. While some parts of the ocean floor are born from fire, others are born from a slow, cold leak. These are cold seeps, places where methane and hydrogen sulfide move slowly through the seafloor like an invisible mist. Here, life does not move at the frantic pace of the surface. Giant tube worms, reaching 8 feet in length, grow in massive, silent forests around these seeps. They have no eyes, no mouths, and no stomachs. They live in a perfect symbiotic relationship with bacteria that turn the Earth's chemicals into energy. It is a slow-motion garden of stone and mist, thriving miles beneath the reach of a single sunbeam. Fact 18. The ghost snailfish, the angel of the trench. In the deepest, most crushing parts of the Mariana Trench lives the snailfish, the deepest dwelling fish ever discovered. At 26,000 feet, where the pressure would shatter bone, this fish thrives. It does not look like a monster. It looks like a ghost. Its skin is completely translucent, revealing its delicate internal organs, and it has no scales. Its body is made of a soft, jelly-like cartilage that is more flexible than bone, allowing it to move through the heavy water with the grace of a floating silk ribbon. It is a reminder that in the face of immense pressure, softness and flexibility are the ultimate forms of strength. Fact 19. The Hadal Zone, the Valley of Hades. The deepest parts of the ocean, specifically the V-shaped trenches, are known as the Hadal Zone. Named after Hades, the Greek god of the underworld, this realm begins at 20,000 feet and descends into the unknown. This is a place of jagged cliffs, tectonic scars, and a temperature that stays just above freezing. The Hadal Zone is so remote that more people have walked on the moon than have visited these depths. It is Earth's final frontier, a silent indigo-black kingdom where the weight of the entire world rests, and where the planet keeps its oldest and most profound secrets. Fact 20. The carbon sink, the Earth's blue memory. The deep ocean is not just a place. It is a giant blue memory for our planet. It acts as the world's largest carbon sink, absorbing vast amounts of carbon dioxide and heat from the atmosphere and locking it away in the cold, dark currents. Without this silent service, the surface of the Earth would be uninhabitable. The ocean literally breathes for us, taking in the excess of our world and burying it miles beneath the waves. As you drift toward sleep, remember that far below, the great blue abyss is working in silence, keeping the world cool and the air clean, just as it has for billions of years. Fact 21. The lost continents under the waves. Hidden beneath the vast blue blankets of the Indian and Pacific Oceans lie the ghosts of lost worlds. These are microcontinents like Zealandia and Mauritia, landmasses that were once above water, covered in lush forests and ancient life, before tectonic shifts pulled them into the depths millions of years ago. Today, their granite peaks and sandy valleys sit thousands of feet below the surface, acting as silent monuments to a map of the Earth that no longer exists. They are the true Atlantis, reminding us that the ground we walk on is only temporary, and that the ocean eventually reclaims everything it once gave to the sky. Fact 22. The Shipwreck Museum, Eternal Rust. The floor of the abyss is the world's largest museum, holding more artifacts and history than all the museums on land combined. From ancient Roman galleys filled with wine jars to the rusted, iconic bow of the Titanic sitting 2 miles down, the deep ocean preserves human tragedy and triumph in a state of eternal rust. In the absolute darkness, where there is no sunlight to decay wood or metal quickly, these ships become artificial reefs. They sit in a frozen moment of time, their grand staircases and empty hallways now home to pale crabs and glowing fish, a silent, salt-soaked library of our ancestors. Fact 23. The ancient deep-sea corals. We often think of coral reefs as sun-drenched tropical paradises, but some of the most spectacular corals on Earth live in total darkness. Deep-sea corals don't need the sun. They grow in the freezing dark, thousands of feet down, feeding on the microscopic nutrients carried by deep currents. Because they grow so slowly in the cold, some of these coral colonies are over 4,000 years old. They were already ancient when the pyramids were being built. They form vast, branching forests of white, pink, and gold on the seafloor, a hidden garden of time that has never seen a single ray of light. Fact 24. The giant oarfish, the king of serpents. Deep in the mesopelagic zone dwells the giant oarfish, a creature that can grow up to 50 feet in length, making it the longest bony fish in the world. With its ribbon-like silver body and a crown of bright red fins, It is the real-life inspiration for the sea serpent legends of old. The oarfish spends its life floating vertically in the dark, looking upward for the shadows of prey. It rarely ever rises to the surface, except when it is dying or when the Earth's crust shifts during an earthquake. Its presence is a rare, haunting bridge between the myths of our past and the biological mysteries of the deep. Fact 25. The abyssal plains, the largest desert on Earth. Beyond the trenches and the mountains lies the abyssal plain. Covering more than half of our planet's surface, this is a vast, featureless desert of soft, gray mud and silt. It is the quietest place on Earth. Here, the silence is so heavy it feels like a physical weight. Every grain of sand here has spent thousands of years drifting down from the surface. In this endless level expanse, there are no seasons, no storms, and no noise, only a state of perfect, unchanging stillness. It is the ultimate sanctuary of rest, where the planet seems to hold its breath in an eternal blue slumber. Fact 31. Jemchug Canyon, the grandest abyss. Hidden beneath the freezing waves of the Bering Sea lies Jemchug Canyon, a gorge so vast it makes the Grand Canyon look small. It is the largest underwater canyon on Earth, with walls that drop thousands of feet into a cold, dark void. Here, the scale of nature is so massive that it defies human imagination. The water within its walls is nearly still, holding the silence of millions of years. It is a place of gargantuan beauty, where the earth carves its deepest secrets into the floor of the sea, far away from the eyes of man. Fact 26. Submarine volcanoes, the silent architects. Did you know that 80% of all volcanic eruptions on Earth happen silently beneath the waves? Deep in the abyss, where the crust is thin, molten lava seeps out from the Earth's core. But here, there are no explosive clouds of ash. Instead, the incredible pressure of the deep ocean suppresses the fire, forcing the lava to form smooth, rounded shapes known as pillow lavas. These underwater giants are the silent architects of our world, constantly building new seafloors and mountain ranges in the dark. It is a slow, rhythmic creation, the Earth's inner fire forging the foundation of the sea in a cold, crushing embrace. Fact 27. The barrel-eye fish, the crystal traveler. In the twilight depths lives one of the most bizarre creatures ever discovered, the barrel-eye fish. Its head is a completely transparent, fluid-filled shield, like a glass cockpit. Inside this crystal dome, its tubular, glowing green eyes rotate upward, scanning the dark water for the faint silhouettes of prey drifting above. To us, it looks like a creature from another planet, but in the abyss, this design is a masterpiece of evolution. It sees the world through its own skin, proving that in a place of total darkness, the only way to survive is to develop a vision that looks beyond the ordinary. Fact 28. The giant isopod, the ancient scavenger. On the freezing, muddy plains of the deep seafloor crawls the giant isopod. Looking like a prehistoric, armored tank the size of a football, this relative of the common woodlouse has remained largely unchanged for millions of years. Life in the abyss is a game of patience, and the isopod is a master of it. Because food is so rare, these scavengers have a metabolism so slow that they can go for 5 years without eating a single meal. They drift into a state of semi-hibernation, waiting with infinite stillness for the marine snow or a whale fall to provide their next feast in the dark. Fact 29. Internal waves, the deep pulse. Deep within the ocean's layers, there are massive internal waves that never break on a shore and are invisible from the surface. These underwater giants can reach heights of over 300 feet, taller than most skyscrapers. They are formed when tides pull water over deep mountain ridges, creating a slow-motion surge that travels through the ocean's interior. These waves move more water and energy than any surface storm, acting as a massive, silent pulse that circulates nutrients and heat across the globe. It is the ocean's internal heartbeat, moving with a heavy, rhythmic power that keeps the entire planet in balance. Fact 30. The ultra-black dragonfish, the living shadow. In the deep, being invisible is the ultimate weapon. The dragonfish has evolved skin that is ultra-black, coated in specialized pigments that absorb 99.5% of all light that hits it. Even if a predator shines a bioluminescent beam directly at it, the dragonfish reflects nothing back. It is a living hole in the universe. Only its needle-sharp teeth and a tiny glowing lure on its chin betray its presence. It doesn't hide in the shadows. It is the shadow, drifting through the midnight water like a ghost, a perfect hunter in a world where to be seen is to be lost. Fact 32. The Milky Sea, the glowing ocean. Rarely, the ocean's surface transforms into a vast, glowing field of white, known as the Milky Sea. This isn't a reflection of the stars, but a massive bloom of bioluminescent bacteria pulsing in perfect unison. For miles, the water looks like a glowing sea of milk or a submerged cloud. Sailors have reported these ghost-like waters for centuries, but only recently has satellite technology confirmed their existence. It is a breathtaking sight, a planetary rhythm where trillions of tiny lives light up the dark ocean, turning the night into a luminous, dreamlike sanctuary. Fact 33. The angler's lonely light. Thousands of feet below, where the cold is bone-chilling and the dark is absolute, the anglerfish carries her own lantern. A glowing lure filled with symbiotic bacteria hangs above her head like a lonely beacon in the void. In this vast, empty world, this tiny light is the only thing a mate or a prey might see for miles. It is a symbol of the abyss itself, a place where life has to create its own hope and its own light to survive. The anglerfish floats in the silence, a patient guardian of the deep, waiting in the stillness for the flicker of another soul. Fact 34. The slow pulse of the deep. In the high-pressure world of the abyss, life moves at a pace we can barely understand. Creatures here have heartbeats that are incredibly slow, sometimes beating only a few times every hour. Their metabolism is tuned to the extreme scarcity of food, meaning they live their lives in a state of semi-permanent meditation. Every movement is calculated. Every breath is a long, drawn-out event. This slow-motion existence allows them to live for centuries, proving that in the depths, the secret to immortality is not speed or strength, but the ability to remain perfectly, beautifully still. Fact 35. The Sofar Channel, the whale's highway. There is a hidden layer in the ocean known as the Sofar Channel, where the temperature and pressure create a perfect sound corridor. In this layer, a sound, like the song of a blue whale, can travel thousands of miles across the entire planet without losing its clarity. It is an underwater highway for sound, where the voices of giants echo through the deep. A whale singing in the Atlantic can, in theory, be heard by another in the Indian Ocean. It is a reminder that even in the most isolated depths, the world is connected by a silent, invisible thread of vibration and song. Fact 36. The vampire squid, the gentle ghost. Despite its terrifying name, the vampire squid from hell is one of the most peaceful creatures of the abyss. It lives in the oxygen minimum zone, a layer of water so thin in oxygen that almost nothing else can survive there. Instead of hunting, it extends two thin sensory filaments to catch marine snow, the falling organic dust of the ocean. When threatened, it doesn't disappear. It simply turns itself inside out, wrapping its dark, webbed arms around its body like a protective velvet cape. It is a silent, red-eyed monk of the deep, drifting through a world where even breathing is a slow, meditative art. Fact 37. The ancient water, a liquid time machine. Deep in the currents of the Pacific, there is water that has not touched the surface or seen a single ray of sunlight for over 1,000 years. This ancient water sank in the North Atlantic during the Middle Ages and has been slowly traveling along the global conveyor belt ever since. It carries the chemical memory of a world before the industrial age, a pure, untouched remnant of Earth's past. When you think of this water, you are looking at a liquid time machine, a vast, cold reservoir that has been cradling the planet's history in total darkness while empires rose and fell above. Fact 38. The glass forest living canyons of lace. In the deepest parts of the continental slopes, there are forests that look like they were carved by a master jeweler. These are the glass sponge reefs. Unlike the corals of the sunlit zones, these are made entirely of silica, the same material as glass. They grow in intricate hexagonal patterns that are both incredibly fragile and surprisingly strong. These reefs can stretch for miles, providing a silent, crystalline sanctuary for deep-sea fish and shrimp. To drift through them is to enter a cathedral of lace, where the only sound is the faint, rhythmic pulse of the water moving through the glass. Fact 39. Magnetic memories, the ocean's record player. The floor of the deep ocean is a giant magnetic tape recorder. As molten lava erupts from the mid-ocean ridge and cools into solid rock, the iron minerals inside align themselves with the Earth's magnetic field. Because the Earth's magnetic poles flip every few 100,000 years, the seafloor is striped with a record of these reversals. It is a silent, stone library that stretches across the globe, allowing scientists to read the history of our planet's core. It is a reminder that even the ground beneath the waves is alive, humming with the magnetic energy of the Earth's heart. Fact 40. The eternal silence of the trenches. As you descend into the Hadal trenches, the deepest points on our planet, you encounter a silence that is absolute. There are no waves, no wind, and no light. The pressure is so high that sound itself travels differently, often muffled by the immense density of the water. This is the ultimate sanctuary. In this realm, the noise of the human world, the ships, the sonar, the chaos, fades into nothingness. It is a place of pure, undisturbed peace, where the earth seems to hold its breath, offering a space where the soul can drift away from the weight of existence into the soft, dark embrace of the void. Fact 41. Polynyas, the ocean's breathing holes. In the frozen reaches of the Antarctic, there are mysterious patches of open water surrounded by miles of solid sea ice. These are called polynyas. They act as massive breathing holes for the deep ocean, where cold, oxygen-rich water sinks to the bottom to begin its 1,000-year journey around the globe. They are oases of life in a white desert, attracting whales, seals, and penguins to their edges. From a distance, they look like dark, steaming portals into the abyss, a rare moment where the secret world of the deep reaches up to touch the frozen sky. Fact 42. The inner strength of pressure. The creatures that live at the bottom of the Mariana Trench are not built like us. They don't have air-filled lungs or hard, brittle bones that would shatter under the weight of miles of water. Instead, their bodies are filled with specialized fluids and oils that are incompressible. They don't fight the pressure, they become one with it. Their cells are structurally different, held together by special molecules that prevent them from being crushed. It is a profound lesson in resilience. When the weight of the world becomes too much, the only way to survive is to let the environment flow through you, rather than resisting it. Fact 43. The dissolved gold of the deep. There is a fortune hidden in every drop of the ocean. It is estimated that 20 million tons of gold are dissolved within the world's seawater. If we could extract it all, there would be enough for every person on Earth to have 9 pounds of pure gold. But because it is so spread out and buried in such immense depths, it remains a ghostly, unreachable treasure. It is the ocean's silent wealth, a golden mist that drifts through the dark, proving that the greatest treasures of our world are often the ones that are kept safely out of our reach. Fact 44. The jellyfish galaxy floating lanterns. Deep-sea jellyfish are the lanterns of the abyss. Some, like the Atala jelly, flash brilliant blue rings of light when touched, creating a burglar alarm to attract even larger predators to eat their attackers. Others glow with a soft, steady rhythm, their long tentacles trailing behind them like silk ribbons in the dark. As they pulse through the water, they look like drifting nebulae in a liquid space. They have no brains and no hearts, yet they move with a purpose and a beauty that suggests they are tuned to the very frequency of the ocean's soul. Fact 45. The Muds of Time, a Million-Year Diary. The seafloor is covered in a thick layer of fine mud that has been accumulating for over 200 million years. This mud is composed of the microscopic shells of ancient plankton, dust from space, and minerals from volcanic ash. It grows at a rate of only a few millimeters every 1,000 years. When scientists take a core sample of this mud, they are looking at a vertical diary of the Earth's climate and history. Every inch represents tens of thousands of years of silence, a slow-motion accumulation of time that settles into a soft, gray blanket over the sleeping planet. Fact 46. Submerged sandfalls, the silent cascades. Off the coast of Mauritius and in the deep canyons of the Atlantic, there are underwater waterfalls that aren't made of water but of sand. Huge currents push sand off the continental shelves, sending it cascading down steep, dark cliffs into the abyss. These sandfalls can drop for thousands of feet, looking like slow-motion white curtains against the deep blue backdrop. They move with a hypnotic, rhythmic flow, carving deep grooves into the mountains of the sea. It is a spectacle of gravity that occurs in total silence, a river of earth falling forever into the heart of the ocean. Fact 47. The hum of the core, Earth's deep lullaby. If you listen closely with specialized hydrophones at the bottom of the sea, you can hear a constant, low-frequency hum. This is not the sound of life, but the sound of the Earth itself. It is the vibration caused by the movement of the planet's molten core and the constant grinding of tectonic plates. This hum is so steady and deep that it acts as a planetary lullaby, a sound that has existed since the first oceans were formed. It is a reminder that we are standing on a living, breathing entity, and the deep ocean is where its heartbeat is loudest. Fact 48. Immortal microbes, the masters of time. Deep beneath the seafloor, buried in mud that hasn't seen oxygen for 100 million years, scientists have found living microbes. These organisms have a metabolism so slow that they may only divide their cells once every 1,000 years. They are, for all intents and purposes, nearly immortal. They don't age, they simply wait. They are the ultimate survivors, existing in a state of stalled time, proving that life can persist in the absence of everything we think it needs: light, oxygen, and even the passage of time itself. Fact 49. The deep blue, the color of rest. As you descend deeper, the colors of the world vanish one by one. Red is the first to go, then yellow, then green. Finally, only a deep, haunting indigo remains. This specific shade of blue has a scientifically proven calming effect on the human mind. It triggers the release of relaxation hormones, slowing the heart rate and quieting the thoughts. This is the color of the abyss, a heavy, rich blue that wraps around you like a cool velvet blanket, signaling to your body that the day is over and it is time to return to the stillness of the deep. Fact 50. The final descent returning to the source. At the very bottom of the world, in the deepest trench, there is a point where the journey ends. Here, there is no more down. There is only the vast, horizontal expanse of the unknown. In this final silence, the weight of the world above becomes a comfort rather than a burden. You are at the source of all life, in the heart of the great blue mystery. Everything is still. Everything is quiet. Breathe in the coolness of the deep. Let the darkness be your sanctuary. The abyss is not a void, it is a home. Now let the water carry you away into the deepest sleep.